Maybe this is the week, Paul Thurrott, that the CMA finally
Concludes its
on.
regulatory theater.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, at this point, at this point, it really is like it's.
Yeah, we're doing stuff. We're working on behalf of consumers and
It's that
competition and whatnot.
it's that Family Guy skit where they redid Star Wars. There's a couple people sitting on the Death Star, and Darth Vader walks by, and they're like, "Yep, after busy. Yep, doing it for the Death Star." Like, just act like
Right,
you're doing
exactly.
something. That's where we're at.
Yeah, something dark side.
Yep. And it is a Monday after all. There's I may have done something dumb this weekend, Thurrott.
Good. I absolutely did something done this weekend, but you go first.
So you may remember why is my face so dark? A specific plant purchase that did not go as expected.
You bought more of
Now
them.
let me walk you through this. Why I purchased more, especially
Well, the need still exists. So.
correct. Thank you for already being on my side. But it's actually so I go to Home Depot, and as I do on a weekend because I was getting whatever we were doing some gardening stuff, cleaning it up, and I go there. They have no joke 7-foot tall arborvitae for $70, which is like a really good deal.
Okay.
Because I now know how to price arborvitae because that is what my life has become. On there, it says, great for fall planting. As you might know, August 21st is not fall. And it's
We
supposed
have
to
a
be
month to go still, yes.
Yeah, so it's going to be insanely hot this week, which is not great for planting this stuff. So my wife suggested, what if we just come back next weekend and we'll buy them then? Which is, the heat's going to pass. Next week looks to be much cooler.
But
But
what
here,
if
my
everyone
logic
else
was,
does the same thing?
it's going to be the same stupid trees. Like they're just, if we come back in a
or
week,
they'll
it's
be
going to be the
gone.
same arborvitae sitting there. So at least if we bring these babies home, we can nurture them in the backyard and make sure that they're in best shape
Yes.
possible. Also, I read the return policy at Home Depot very carefully, so I've got plenty of time to return dead arborvitae if the case should arise.
Okay.
So I bought 6 of these little jerks. They are planted. However, where I may have made a crucial mistake is I don't know if they get enough sunlight in the spot that we put them in. So, anyways, that's
Well, that might help them survive the heat.
it might help them with the heat, which is great. However, I do need them to live
Right.
with whatever. According to the internet, they just won't be as like full and lush. I do not need them to grow another inch because they are already tall enough. Because there's a chain link fence between our property and the neighbor's property, and she put up tons of evergreens on her side. And so, like, we already and these things are no joke, like 40 feet high.
Oh, boy.
So all we're trying to do is just cover the uprights of the fence because the evergreens are actually kind of growing through the fence a little bit, so you don't see much else other than the uprights. So all I need was just to cover the uprights, and everything else can be low foliage or whatever. So if they don't grow another inch, I just don't need them to die.
We had bought a bunch of these for our property line at the previous house with the idea of eventually not seeing the neighbor. And I could tell you they did not grow almost at all. That None of them died. Like they all did fine, like they're fine. But they never really, I thought they were going to be like 6 feet tall or some awesome thing. And they were just never.
Yeah, no, these things, according to the tag, which said plant us in the fall, which it's not the fall, will get 14 to 20 feet in full sunlight.
Yeah. No, you've seen these places. Where they're right on top of each other.
I don't need them to grow. I just need them
like
not
a
to
natural
die.
wall.
Just don't die.
Well, sorry.
Anyways, that was, what was your dumb thing?
Oh. So Saturday, I've been doing this series of digital decluttering tasks, and I spent the previous 2 weeks doing, sorting through, literally editing and everything, like all these scanned photos, 21 gigabytes worth. I got through the whole thing, and you want to make sure they get the right date metadata and all that stuff. And then I hooked up my NAS, which I haven't hooked up here before, and I found out like I have a ton of other photos that are still like, I'm like, damn it, So I was like, all right, I'm going to move on to something else. And that something else is like my documents archive. I have a bunch of unsorted stuff there. And I kind of switched the system I use for storing things. It doesn't really matter. But for most of the time that I was at the super site, I had this in Penton. I had this very specific folder structure. So it's kind of, this is like my archives, right? This thing was 116 gigabytes, and I wanted to cull it down. I knew there was a lot of cruft in there, probably like application installers, videos, whatever. And I did amazing work on this over part of Saturday and almost all day Sunday. But then I kind of jumped the shark at the end. Like the couple things I've come to is like you can use like a program like Windear Start to find out where all the biggest programs are, kind of work your way through that part of it. I got it down. It was like 116. I got it down to 60 and then like 50 gigabytes. I pulled out 21 gigabytes worth of videos that many of which I'll probably post on YouTube. Just so they're always there and I don't have to keep them locally. And, people can see them, whatever, it's fine. Because work-related stuff like Microsoft internal videos and all kinds of stuff like that. But, man, I wasted so much time. I would say this entire second half of Sunday, going into last night, going into overnight, running these. I ended up buying an application. My final thought was, if you look at the file types that are taking up the most space, JPEG was probably number one by this point. And that's fine because, JPEGs, I have lots of images. But then it was like bitmap, ping, and I was like, I should convert those to JPEG, save some space, right? And I bought this program. I'm not going to remember the name here. I'm sorry. I will write about this eventually. I paid $20 for it eventually. And I ran so many batches and it's so many files. I had to break it down into groups. And so literally I woke up this morning. What I did last night didn't work. It basically... And you can't. The problem is you can't choose which file types to convert. So it converts things like PDFs, which I don't want, in addition to normal image files. But okay, this thing it was taking so long to do the full archive that I left it on overnight. I got up in the morning, and it had duplicated all the files, so there were like 1 million files. And I'm looking through this. I looked through the settings like 100 times, and there's like a little checkbox, one little thing. It's like, replace file you're duplicating, and it's like, right. So I just ran a batch on that. We went for the walk, and I just did it on a subset of it, like one folder in the folder. And I don't think I saved a kilobyte, dude. I think just running the test, it is the exact same number. I'm not sure it's right because it shouldn't be exactly the same file size overall. I don't think that's even possible. So I'm going to do it again. But like, I guess my point is like, if that's true, if it's plus or minus like a small amount, I think I'm done. I think I'm going to call it a win and just move on because I wasted so much time on this.
This is such a problem that I do not have. It's more of
I'm sorry, what did you say? You do what?
I do not have. Because,
you do not have. Okay.
Like my entire, at least adulthood, we've had digital cameras. I never really took film photos ever in my life. I mean, I have.
So I had
but
30 years without digital anything. And I don't want all the I have most of my parents' paper photos scanned, and it's like, I don't need most of those. But the document stuff is kind of tough because I have an incredible, there are topics like Zune or Windows Phone. Certainly Windows, obviously. I wrote a book about it. But I mean, no one would want to read these things, but I have so much information.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. I have lots of cool internal Microsoft videos. Like, the goofy ones they made, like Brian Valentine dressed up like he was in one of those Adam Sandler movies or whatever it was. Stuff like that. So I have some neat stuff, but it's been sitting there in multiple places, right? So I want to, just clean it up. I have, I guess I have. I should be happy with what I've done, but
you have really.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect, but I had to keep going. I flew too close to the sun. These batch things take so long. It's like, come on.
So you have them onto a NAS. Are you backing them up?
Oh yeah. So, my archive, as such as it is, actually exists in two different places. So there's a version on the NAS and there's a version up in OneDrive. I pulled it offline. Sorry, I should have explained this. This is like one of the problems working with stuff that's online is that on the network is it's slow, right? So these are big sets of files. So I've been I took the 20 gigs of unsorted photos off of, I think it was OneDrive at the time, and just copied it over to, actually I synced them locally, and it's worked with it in the folder. For the NAS-based stuff, I copied it over the network to one of the computers, and been working on it locally. Now that I mean, I'll probably wrap this up today, but I will then copy this final one up to OneDrive, probably Google Drive, and probably my Microsoft 365 commercial account too, just to have it, wherever. And then I will not do anything to the original for a while and kind of make sure, and then eventually I'll just get rid of the original one, and that will save like 100 and whatever I said, 16 gigabytes of storage space in OneDrive, which is nice. I'm going to need it. So, but I'm doing this piecemeal. So I've got this whole structure of things I'm going to work on, like this, the cleaning up the stuff that's organized is step one, but then there's this giant blob of crap that I don't even want to look at that is probably bigger than that is just unsorted stuff. Now, this is all digital files or whatever, and a lot of it's going to be duplicates. It's work, you know what I mean? So I'm going to do it, I don't know, some segment at a time, and then I'm going to give up on it for 2 years, because that's what happens. Like you were inspired to do it for a little while, and it's work. It takes time.
Yeah. And effort and whatever else.
Yeah.
Interesting though.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting to confront what's in there, because I went through the Windows part of it for the Windows book. But I want to go through the rest of it too. And I had saved so many stupid things. I had like downloaded versions of Apple Keynote videos from like the early 2000s and Microsoft WinHEC and PDC or whatever, build whatever keynotes. And it's like, why do I have these on my computer? Like, what did I think I was going to do with this?
Yeah. Although the WinHEC stuff, I mean, like we're both in the same boat. It's like, well, I mean, the build, maybe not so much because it's still too new, but like to go back 20 years in time, it's like, what was Microsoft pitching? And where is it today?
And that stuff's going to be in my YouTube account. I'm definitely putting that up there. One of the great videos I did find during the book thing was Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer and some other people sitting on stage, all slouched over, and talking about a reorg. And honestly, that was the moment in time where everything went south for Microsoft. And there's a great Bill Gates moment where he gets a huge laugh from the crowd, but he says, there've been a lot of times in our history where people thought we were in trouble, and we'll see what happens. And I was like, oh, and it's like, yeah, you're screwed is what happens. But actually, I mean, obviously they're bigger than ever. But as far as like Windows being it was like a Windows Vista time frame, something. Maybe it was when Jim Algen left, or I don't remember. But it was just like, we'll see what happens. It's like what happens is the iPhone and the iPad and Android and
yeah,
and your exit from the consumer market. Yeah, exactly. Just the whole thing. So, but anyway, it's the stuff there's a lot, not all of it. I mean, a lot of it is very interesting. So we'll see. I get, like I said, about 21 gigs of video. We'll see how much of that I put online, but I bet it's going to be a nice collection of stuff.
You're a nice collection.
A nice collection of wasting of time.